my name is Margaret Adele, and I am super excited to come at you with another indie book review. Now, it's no real big secret that BookTube loves Own Voices books for the most part, except when it comes to MLM romance. Most of the most hyped books on BookTube in MLM romances tend to be written by women or femme-presenting non-binary people. And it's a bit of a problem because the same arguments for representation still stand in this. A woman does not know the exact ideas or thought processes or situations that a queer man will find himself in, and a queer woman would not know that exactly either. So when I saw an indie author sharing some of his Own Voices MLM erotica short stories on Twitter, I got really excited and I commented on the post, and then we ended up chatting for a long time in the DMs, and he didn't so much offer the first 3 short stories to me so much as I asked for review copies because I think he was a little bit too timid and I'm not. So I am reviewing the first 3 short stories in the Bryce Can collection by Travis Beaudoin. I'm going to assume that it's right there. Travis, you can correct me in the DMs. That's fine. But anyway, these all involve a relationship that is consensually non-monogamous, wherein Bryce and his husband Matt have this arrangement wherein when Matt leaves for work 5 times a year on these long trips, Bryce is expected to play, aka go out and have fun with other men. And it's a really big turn on for Matt, and it's kind of a whole big thing, and it's weirdly cute. But each short story involves a different partner for Bryce, and they're fun. Hello, it is Future Margaret, and as I was editing this, I realized that my mannerisms come off very, reserved, and that's not because I'm not excited about this. That's because I was talking about gay erotica when there are small children in the house, and I have to be very careful of A, where those children are in the house when I film, and B, what I'm saying and if they could understand it. So at the time, small children were wandering around, and one was very intent on peering in the door, and I had to stop several times. So that's why. It actually is a fantastic series, and I highly recommend it. It's just, not the kind of thing you want elementary schoolers hearing you talk about. And I really appreciate each one of these. So I'll do a quick overview. Obviously, these are all short stories, so they're quick reads. I think all 3 of these together were 43 pages. And there are 2 more coming out to complete the set in June, I believe. So first up is On Display, wherein Bryce goes to visit this old professor at the university he works for. Well, older, kind of one of those silver fox situations. Theo is an artist and appreciates the human body in all forms, and really fun idea of the human form as beauty and a lot of focus on art, and it was really nice. And that kind of is the run through for a lot of these stories, as well it is steamy and a lot more emphasis on fluids than what I was expecting. He picks these partners for a reason. There's a connection with these partners. It's not just randos. But Theo is the first, and it's really sweet, and it's a nice ease-in. Next up is Couples Therapy, wherein Bryce goes to visit an old college roommate who is now, I don't know if he's just married or dating, but he has a man himself, and they're in the middle of a fight because, well, I don't want to spoil the fight, but let's just say it's one of those fights where at the end of the day, they're both really just, they still love each other, and they just can't quite understand why the other person doesn't see things the way they do type of fights. And there's a lot of emphasis on, what do you do with your family when they don't accept you? Do you just cut it off and go find a found family? Do you still try to work it out? And as someone who is not out to her extended family yet, I feel that. But anyway, they do make up, and Bryce is there to help. It wasn't quite the threesome I was hoping for, mostly because, well, I don't want to explain because I'll have to start using anatomical parts. But regardless, it was still amusing. I still enjoyed it. And again, a lot of emphasis on fluids. Which, maybe that's just me. Maybe I've been reading too much either hetero or FF romances to see that. But anyway, The third story, our final in the 3 that are out so far, is Turned Out, which is, you know, a term used for gay men. And if you know, you know. I'm not going to describe it here. I didn't realize how much of a prude I was until I started explaining this, but in my defense, there are small children in this house that could decide to walk in this room at any moment, so I'm being cautious. Anyway, this last one is all about Bryce in a rare moment as a top, because he is not a top regularly. I think he says something to the effect of he can bite pillows with the best of them. Which was amusing. But this one involves one of the few partners that he is actually a top for, because it is a very, very, very closeted man who is still very unsure of himself and really comes to Bryce for the few times a year that he lets himself experiment this. Now, Carrie does have a wife who is bisexual. You never learn her name. You don't really know anything else about her beyond that. But I appreciated that. I'm hoping it was equal non-monogamy. Like, I really hope the wife was aware. But in this one, you see Bryce kind of having to ease said friend into everything because he's so shy and so timid. And it was also kind of sweet. And Bryce even talks about how he wishes that Carrie would open up and talk. But even if this little bit of relaxation, if this little bit of stress relief is all that he can give his friend, then that's what he's going to give. And again, there's this kind of on-running through line of, yes, it's steamy and all that, but it's also super sweet and caring. And throughout the entire thing, like, Bryce is still thinking about his husband the entire time and how he's excited for him to get back and everything that he's going to tell him that happened, because again, that's their yum. And overall, super sweet, really well written. I appreciated it. I actually asked the author at one point during a conversation if short stories was his preferred mode or he ever intended on writing a full novel one day. And he even mentioned that he's trying to doing all of these short stories to get a lot of titles out because that's what works best for romance. And he's not wrong. Romance as an indie genre is one of the most grueling to keep up with. If you want to stay relevant, you've got to put out several books a year minimum to stay relevant. So I get it. But I can't wait to see a full out romance novel where you get to see the people fall in love. Like, that would be, I yearn for it because he writes really well. And even these short stories, again, 3 stories making up 43 pages all put together. They're super small, but they're so sweet. Although I do think the 43 pages, they were single-spaced. So maybe they might be a little bit longer if they'd been differently formatted. But beyond that, I super appreciated these. I am super excited for my giant list of Own Voices MLM authors. And that space opera is just calling my name. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I gave each of these short stories 5 stars. Excellent. Highly recommend. I mean, obviously, it's got to be your thing to read it. But, you know, you sat through an entire gay erotica review, so I assume it is. Anyway, if you are an indie author and you would like a review like this one, please send me an email. I will have my email down in the description below. I will also have my review policy down there. Please get that a read through. It answers a lot of questions and saves us a lot of time. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.